So I've seen you a lot online. You run the Singularity group, which is about futurism and artificial intelligence, among other things. Can you just give us a little bit of a background of that?
Yeah, sure. The singularity. I mean, that means a lot of things to a lot of people. It's borrowed from the physicists out there, the cosmologists. It comes from the term when you have pretty much the center of a black hole, right? At a point where physics itself breaks down. And so the technological singularity has taken that term and applied it to what happens when technology accelerates at a pace that becomes infinitely fast and outpaces all of human knowledge and capacity to understand what that means. And Singularity University is founded by Ray Kurzweil and Peter D. Mandis over in the US. Ray Kurzweil is the director of engineering at Google. Peter D. Mandis is an entrepreneur, founder of the X Prize.
Yeah.
And as you can see today, companies like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic have sprung out because of that incentive prize.
Yeah.
And the sort of logic is that no one's going to push the boundaries of these unknown risk areas. Usually governments would do that. We have a moonshot. If I was to pay you $10 million to win this prize, right, would you go for it? And a lot of people do. And what you find is that there's actually millions of dollars more go into trying to seek that prize than the prize itself, and it creates a new industry as a result that market forces aren't doing by themselves.
Yeah, I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson explain that issue with space as a frontier and how it's normally the area of a government to take on that risk. It looks like, especially with SpaceX, the way SpaceX is going, and you've got Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic with their, Virgin Galactic, yes, you can go to space, technically. I do like the way that you've got Blue Origin and SpaceX. I think they're going neck and neck. But this whole thing with getting the contracts from NASA to refuel the ISS, and you've got the whole low Earth orbit. They're deploying all those satellites for Starlink. That's going to be ridiculous. So it looks like that the commercialization, if you will,
it's finally happening.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the challenge was
50
when we
years
did the
too late.
Moonshot back in the 60s, when NASA went to the moon, right? That was the mission of the government, essentially trying to challenge the Soviet Union at the time, the space race.
Because of Sputnik.
So the thing is, they went there with the goal of never really repeating it again and again in a way that was sustainable. So that's why, the Apollo projects were cancelled for so long. We haven't gone back to space or sent a human onto the moon. These sort of things where, Neil deGrasse Tyson says that there is sort of market failure because, markets don't know what the unknowns are. So that's where the government step in. Now that sort of unknown is pretty much relatively known, right? We've got the space program, so that's where entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, like, Jeff Bezos and like Richard Branson have stepped in. I mean, you're right with the Virgin Galactic. They don't do space tourism, but their goal is to start to sort of have an alternative way of launching objects into space. So carrying on to the Virgin Galactic spaceships and trying to do it that way, just through slowly from an airplane into aerospace.
Look, I thought, I'm not being a rocket scientist, just a lowly scientist myself. I thought, that would be saving a great deal of energy going with an airplane.
Yeah.
And then you do the math and you realize, wait a minute, that's actually not really that much.
But yeah, that's right.
Because
you have put up to a certain point. And same with Blue Origin, it only does sort of low orbit type sort of launches. So when you look at sort of when you try to compare SpaceX and Blue Origin, it's like almost apples and oranges, because what SpaceX can do is sort of a lot further and more into space, into sort of lunar missions and Mars missions.
Yeah, they got this Falcon Heavy.
Still just trying to focus on getting satellites up into low orbit.
Can I ask, Blue Origin? I'm not familiar. Are they space exploration company also?
Yeah, they're so it's one of Jeff Bezos's pet projects. So essentially not part of Amazon, but has been funded with billions of dollars of Jeff Bezos's private money. He wants to get in on this rocket competition. So that Elon Musk has got the BFR, right, the big Falcon rocket. There's the Saturn.
Saturn's pretty big still. I mean, that was very ingenious how he if you get a system to low Earth to orbit, and then you can refuel it again with another one. When he had those two interplanetary stages, and you would bring up another one, and it would keep refueling to get it enough impulse to get it to Mars. I thought that was a genius, because then you can just basically, depending on the orbits,
unending travel, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you could go pretty much anywhere with given enough resources. And then all you've got to worry about is solar radiation flaring up, and you're good.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you use the solar radiation to power your solar sails as well, right? That's what.
Yeah.
I think it was the Planetary Society launched one of those solar sails as well, up into, and that way it sort of accelerates through sunlight. But they all achieve this through thinking through first principles. So Elon Musk continues to talk about first principles thinking, and a lot of people think through analogy. So if we did something like this but in a different industry, it might work. Or if I did something like that particular idea but applied it in a different way slightly. So these are incremental enhancements to innovations, right? But with first principles thinking, it's like, well, every time you launch a rocket, you're literally throwing away hundreds of millions of dollars out there. There's got to be a better way to recover that. And so sort of through that approach has been able to transform entire industries, whether it's space or electric vehicles or solar power.
Because NASA doesn't build for price to performance, they just build to get the job done. That's why, except for the shuttle, which ended up being a terrible thing.
It's not their money; it's taxpayers' money.
It's right.
So, if they don't spend the budget, they won't get the same budget next year.
Yeah, next year.
They'll get less because you don't need that much money, right? So they continue to find ways to spend money, and that's where sort of commercial spaceflight and other sort of areas when that sort of market forces can step in to make things sustainable.